I collected $6,000 from that. That's not bad. I need that money. Build my empire. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about board games, board gamey things, and jet setting across the world by yourself, okay? Because today's video is my top 10 solo travel games. Now, Jeff and I have done a few top 10 travel games. It's actually probably time for us to revisit that list because we haven't done like a true top 10 travel games in a while. And I don't know about you all, but I personally travel a ton. Jeff and I travel together a ton, but I travel solo all the time. I have to travel solo for work a lot. I travel to some different conventions by myself. I travel a ton, basically, alone. And so the games that I bring when I travel by myself are different than the ones that I bring when Jeff and I travel together, obviously, because you need to be able to play two players. To be honest, I do bring a bunch of solo games as well when I travel with Jeff, just because you never know, he might not be feeling it that day, okay? And I might need to. There's a few things that I consider when grabbing a game to pack with me when I'm traveling solo. If I'm going somewhere by myself, I'm typically not going for a super long time, and so space is a premium. Obviously, most travel games that I would recommend are a smaller size, so these are all small box games. There's one that I would consider like on the cusp, okay? But it's a good one. Now, sometimes traveling solo is the perfect way to explore the world on your own terms, but when you're on the move, between flights, or just chilling after a day of adventure, it's nice to have something to keep you entertained. That's where Monopoly Go comes in, who just happens to be today's sponsor. Monopoly Go keeps all the best parts of classic Monopoly, buying properties, trading deals, and trying to bankrupt your rivals. But it's designed for quick, fast-paced rounds. There are even new mini-games, exciting power-ups, and colorful animations that make it more fun than ever. Plus, with global multiplayer, you can challenge players from around the world. Just like exploring new places, you never know who you're gonna meet. Scan this QR code or click the link in the description below to download Monopoly Go today. Trust me, solo travel has never been this much fun, so when you're ready for a break from your solo adventures, dive into the world of Monopoly Go. Because who says building an empire can't happen when you're on the move? That's when I build my empires. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into it, and let's start with the honorable mention. That honorable mention is going to be Tapple 10. Now, Tapple 10 is from the Op, and it is a small box version of the big party game Tapple, and the beauty of this is that you can play it solo. Now, you could probably play regular Tapple solo as well, and the reason I put this one as an honorable mention is because this is a game that I would bring if I'm traveling solo, but I'm also going somewhere where I know there's going to be other people who might want to like play a party style game, because you can play this with more people. Anyone can play it, and it's one of those games that's just kind of like a good little distraction. So essentially, you're going to get a card. The card is going to give you a category, and then there's going to be another card with a letter, and you are going to have to list things using those letters, that letter, kind of in the same way that Tapple works, but it's just a smaller box and it's cards. There's no like toy factor with this one as there is in regular Tapple. So I think it's a good option if you're going, you know, maybe on a flight home to visit your family and you also want to have something you can play by yourself and something you can share with your family. Okay, so that's the honorable mention. The first games that are on the list are obviously going to be button shy games. Now, this is one of those categories that I can't just pick one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you the ones that I typically reach for when I'm traveling by myself. There's a handful of button shy games that I almost always bring on every trip that I go by myself. And there's a couple of these that come with me even if I'm traveling with other people, but if I feel like I want a solo game. So let's start with the button shy category with one that I feel like at this point is just obvious, and that is Numbsters. Numbsters is my favorite button shy game, and it is a solo only game. And for anybody who doesn't know, button shy are wallet games. There's 18 cards in them. If you have expansions, they're going to give you a little bit more cards and stuff, but they have all different themes, all different player counts. They are freaking amazing. I love button shy. So Numbsters is the first one. Numbsters is a play on the classic joke 7, 8, 9. So you have a line of numbers and the numbers are eating each other. And your goal is to get down to one final number plus the 8, because the 8 is a special number that other numbers have to eat over, basically 7, 8, 9. Kind of thing. It is very difficult, but it's not difficult to learn or play, but it's so fun. It's just difficult to win. You're typically supposed to play it on a table, but I generally play it in my hand when I am traveling, and I just have like a stack of cards. So instead of splaying things out on the table, I splay them out of my hand and move them in my hand. So I've played this in an airport. I've played it on an airplane, played it in a hotel. It is, in my opinion, the best of the best, especially for travel because you can play it in your hand, which I love. The other ones that I generally bring with me, I usually bring Rove with me, which does take up a little bit of table space. You could possibly play this on an airplane tray table depending on the plane. I've never done it, but I typically will bring this out at an airport or in a hotel. Rove, it's basically a puzzle. You are going to get a little pattern that you need to design by moving around different cards, but each card has a different type of movement, and then there's going to be movement cards that you have in your hand, and that's how many you can move. It is difficult to win. Most of these are, actually. That's like the beauty of a solo game, honestly. It's difficult to win, but this game is so fun, and there are so many expansions now. There's Rove Junior if you have kids. There's Aqua Rove. There's a ton. There's a bunch of expansions that come with it. I have a full solo playthrough of Rove over on the Board Game Geek YouTube channel. If you're interested, I have a solo mode. You can definitely go check it out there. I actually think in November I might do another button shy game for my solo mode, so stay tuned for that. But Rove it always comes with me. I also always bring Food Chain Island because Food Chain Island is it's one of their like easier to play games for sure. It takes up a little bit of space on the table. You're building out a grid, kind of in the same way that Numbsters work. Instead of numbers eating different things, it's animals eating different things, but those animals have numbers, and you're just manipulating a grid to try and make sure that all the animals get fed and that there's only one animal left. It's a great little solo game. I also really enjoy Super Slopes, which is a new one that they have where you're building out like a snowboarding ski path and you're going down a hill. That one's really fun. And then the last one that I'm going to mention, because I could go on forever, the last one I'm going to mention is Apropos. There's Apropos of movies and Apropos of board games. Now, these games can be played solo or you can play them with multiple people. All that you're doing is you're getting a prompt and you have to think of a game or a movie based on that prompt. Then you have to think of something after with the next prompt, and it's essentially like, well, if your game already had this, now you need to name a game that doesn't have it. It's kind of hard to explain, but I love this game and I think it's more of an activity versus like a board game. Anybody can play the movie one in particular. If you're with a group of gamers, they can play the board game one. But I think they're really fun, and it's just like a little fun activity that you can do by yourself. Next on the list, oh, and by the way, these are not in a particular order. These are just the ones that I tend to bring with me, basically. So the next one on that list is going to be Dimensions. I just saw this sitting on, or I guess hanging on the wall at Lancelot Games, and I grabbed it because this is like, you can get this as a bigger board game, but this is a solo puzzle game. So it comes in a little plastic like bin thing with kind of like bead like things. There's a drawer where the beads go in, and then there's cards with different puzzles that you are trying to solve. And what you are doing is you are manipulating the beads on this little grid board to try and complete the puzzle that it's given you. and it gets progressively more difficult. The puzzles are going to get more difficult. And it's just a spatial puzzle that you can just sit. You can very easily play this on an airplane tray. It is literally this big. You could slide it into a book bag. And I think that this is a perfect solo travel game, not just for gamers, but for anybody, like people who love Sudokus or Sudokus. I never know how to say that word. Anyways, or like little puzzles on the plane. You could play this and it's a bit more like tactile. It's so good, and I don't really hear anybody talking about it, probably because it is such like once again, it's not like a board game. It's more of an activity, but that means nothing to me. I would definitely recommend trying it if you haven't and you're looking for a good solo travel game. Next up, we have another kind of category, but this category is oink games, but I'm only going to recommend one because there's only one that I reach for if I am traveling by myself, and that's going to be Town 66. Now you could also do Town 77, which is the same game, but it just makes the grid bigger. Depends on how much space you have. In Town 66, once again, you could play this multiplayer, but I actually play this more solo than multiplayer. You have different tiles, and those tiles have different shapes, and those shapes are all different colors. And what you're doing is you're building out a 6x6 grid. It's a neighborhood. In that neighborhood, no tile or no house next to the other can be the same shape or the same color. And you are kind of like drawing different tiles, and you are going to be placing them out, trying to build the perfect grid, which is apparently possible, but it's extremely difficult to do. So you're cycling through different stacks. Now in a multiplayer game, you're pulling them out of a bag. In a solo game, you're pulling them off of stacks. I think that you could probably play this on an airplane like tray if you want, so long as the flight's not bumpy, because those tiles are gonna go freaking everywhere, but you know, it is what it is. But you can very easily play this at the airport or at a hotel. It's a great little puzzle game, and I think puzzle games work. They just work for travel. I don't know what it is. They work for solo games. And once again, this is just an oink size box, which I have some over there. I'm not going to grab them. So it's just little. You can throw it in your book bag and you're good to go. Next up is a new one to me that I think will most likely follow me along my journeys as I travel around the world. And that is Mind Space. And Mind Space is from All Play. Jeff and I played this on our All Play All Day Game Day video. So if you haven't watched that, you should definitely check it out if you're interested in learning about this game or any of the All Play games basically. But this game is another kind of spatial puzzle, but it is a flip and write and roll and flip and write. Roll and flip and write. It's an and write kind of game. Basically what you're doing, you're going to have a conveyor belt of like different Tetris shapes, and you are going to roll a set of dice, and then you are going to assign those dice to the correct slot of that conveyor belt of Tetris shapes. Then you're going to be drawing those into your own personal little whiteboard based on the color of that die. So if you have like a little mini L and there's a purple die, well then you can choose to draw that L in the purple color, and you get to pick whichever one you want to draw. There's placement rules. You have to draw things adjacent to each other, but the same color can't be adjacent to the same color, and all of the different colors are going to score differently. Then there's global objectives that you're also trying to get. So really, you're just trying to optimize your score by mapping out your little grid as best as you can with these shapes. This game is so good, and if you are into optimizing your turns and kind of like making everything like fit perfectly and trying to score high scores and all of that stuff, you have to try this game. And it comes in one of the small square All Play boxes, so this could also fit in a book bag if you like, fit it in your carry-on bag. I'm just trying to think. It would probably be slightly difficult to play this on an airplane tray, but definitely at the airport or at a hotel, you might be able to fit this on a tray, actually. I haven't tried it because I just played it recently and I haven't traveled since, but I think I'm going to take it on my next trip for sure. But that is Mind Space. All right, let's get back into our list. And the next one is another kind of category because this is like a little series of games that you can get, and you can choose any, and they all work pretty similarly. And that is Orchard, Grove, or Forage. So these are small, little, tiny box card games. You can actually like fit this in your pocket. You can fit it in your purse. book bag, whatever. And these are, once again, kind of a puzzly style game where, let's just talk about Orchard, because they all play kind of similarly. But in Orchard, you are building out an apple orchard by placing out different trees in it's like a card placement game in a grid, collecting different types of apples, and everything is going to score differently. So you're basically putting out all of your cards, and then you are going to score what you have in front of you, and there's different like point levels that you can get in order to win or lose. It's very simple, very straightforward, in a very small box, and it's fun, and it's a fun little fall travel game, honestly, because apple orchards, foraging, groves, that's very fall. Next up, we have another kind of plant-based game, and that is Herbaceous Pocket. Now you can get Herbaceous as a big box, but you can also get it in a pocket tin size, which I love. I love when companies do that. So in Herbaceous, you are essentially trying to pot different herbs and trying to score as many points as possible. You're going to have different herbs to choose from, different pots to choose from. You're kind of putting things into your little garden. And like I said, this is just a mini version of the big game. This is a game that for some reason Jeff's not a huge fan of, but I've always loved. And it's also really pretty. It's very like naturey because it's all green and stuff. I think it's super fun and it makes a great little travel game. Okay, next up is a little bit of a bigger box, and by bigger box, I still mean like this. So it's not that big. It can still fit in a book bag, but you probably can't fit it in your pocket. You could if you really tried, or if you're wearing cargo pants, you could probably fit it in cargo pants for sure. That is going to be Next Station London, and Next Station London is a flip and write game. I think the N-Write style games are great for travel because most of them play solo. Most of them come in small boxes. Next Station London just happens to be one of my favorite ones. You can do Next Station Tokyo is another version of this game, but basically you are building out or mapping out different transportation lines in London. So you're going to go through a variety of different colors so that it'll provide you with different color pencils. You're going to be flipping the cards, moving your, or drawing your kind of like lines to maximize the points that you're going to get, making sure that you're crossing through different stations and that there's just so much kind of going on. I am terrible at this game, and you can try it on BGA if you like, if you want to kind of test it out, but I just think it's so fun, and because you're using like color pencils and it's all different colors, it's just, I like it. I think it's relaxing. It's almost giving you that feeling of coloring, and coloring is another great solo travel activity. Next up, we have A Gentle Rain. Now, A Gentle Rain it's uber relaxation, okay? If you are going on one of those, like, if you're going on a spa vacation, or actually if you're going on a stressful vacation and you need a way to like wind down by yourself, A Gentle Rain is perfect for this. I do also have a BGG solo mode video of this game, but basically you are playing out different tiles, and those tiles are eventually going to basically give you empty circles of different colors, and then you are putting different blooms into those circles. Another kind of puzzle style game where it's really like there's no winning or losing. You are just trying to get as many points as you can and trying to have a relaxing time. This game was purposefully made to be a mindful activity, a mindful experience, and it really is relaxing. You can just grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, play it out on the table. I actually think, I'm wondering, could you play this on an airplane table? That I don't know. But there's two different versions of this game you can get. There's one that comes in like a little box, and then there's one that's a little bit bigger. That's the Target exclusive. I personally really like the little small box one because, once again, it's just easier to travel with. But the Target exclusive one has like 3D blooms, which is very pretty. They're both like beautiful quality. You can't go wrong. But this is one that I think will probably always come with me when I solo travel because it's just like, it's so easy to play. You don't have to think about it, and it doesn't matter if you win or lose. You just need time to yourself to do a little puzzle. You can do that with A Gentle Rain. And last but not least is probably one of the OG games that I've been taking with me traveling since I got into the hobby. And that is Gone Clever, okay? And this is, to me, a classic roll and write, like one of the most classic. There's a variety of games within the series. There's Gone Clever, Doppel So Clever, there's a bunch. I think Gone Clever is That's Pretty Clever in English. I don't remember. But basically, in this game, you are going to be rolling dice. And then with those dice, you are going to be choosing one, and then you're going to be placing it in its proper spot on your sheet. So yellow dice have a spot, blue dice have a spot, purple, orange, green, etc. And white is a wild. So you're gonna, let's say I chose a yellow 2, and I'm gonna cross off a 2 in the yellow section. Then you're gonna take all of the dice that are higher than that number. So if you had dice below a 2 that you didn't use, they're out of the pool. You can't re-roll them. And then you re-roll those dice. And then you continue. You get to do that 3 times. And then there's a bunch of combos that are going to happen in this game. The thing with this game is that the goal is, or like, it's not really the goal, but the goal is to get 300. I have done it 1, maybe 2 times. And that is why I love this game for travel, because even though you have completed the 300 in the past, you can spend your whole trip being like, okay, I'm just going to keep playing until I get 300. And it's so addicting. Now, this comes in a smallish box. The box itself turns into a dice tray, so you can easily play this on an airplane kind of tray. Jeff and I have done that numerous times. I have done that numerous times. But there is a hot tip as well. There's an amazing app, which is kind of what Jeff and I now will use when we're traveling. Just if I need a distraction, it's on my phone. But this is a game that I think makes one of the perfect travel games, because you can like set yourself up with a goal and be like, I'm going to hit 300 by the end of this flight. And it makes your flight go by like that. It's crazy. I missed one. That's not 10. So the last one on the list is a bit of a bigger box. This one technically could fit in a book bag, but this is more so something that I would take in a carry-on bag if I'm going on a longer trip. I just really love this game, and that is Harmonies. Harmonies, you can play multiplayer and you can play it solo, but this game, it's just like, it's so good. It deserves all the hype that it's gotten. But basically in this game, you are going to have a little board in front of you, and you are going to be taking different like circle tiles or habitat discs from a different board, and you can only take one from one of the groupings, and they're in 3s. And then when you take them, you have to place them out onto your board. And then you're doing that not only to score points off of the habitats that you're building, like trying to build along river, different kinds of fields or tall buildings or whatever, but you are also trying to satisfy different animals, because different animals need different habitats. So you're going to be taking animal cards that have these little cubes on them, and as soon as you make one of the designs that's on the animal card, you get to remove a cube, and then you're going to score that many points. And some of the animals have multiple cubes that you can do. This is just another puzzle that you are trying to optimize basically everything that you're doing. It is beautiful. It is like challenging in a way that I just love, because it's somehow challenging and relaxing at the exact same time. And I have no freaking idea how that works. I don't know how that works. It just does work. So I would recommend it. It is a bit of a bigger box though. However, if you're traveling by yourself, you can easily, here's what we do. Okay, if you just want to take the Harmonies box, take all of the extra stuff out of it that you don't need because you're only playing by yourself. Then you could put all your Button Shy games in the box, and you could put probably Town 66 will fit in there, and probably Orchard will definitely fit in there. So you can put other little games inside that box. Optimize your space when you travel. This is the way, especially when you're a gamer. You got to put boxes inside boxes, make more space, etc. Those are my top 10 solo travel games. I would be so curious to know in the comments below, what are some board games that you bring, or some games in general that you bring with you when you travel, specifically when you travel solo. I would love to know. I'm always on the hunt for more. I do want to mention that For Northwood probably should be on this list. I haven't played it yet. I do own it, but I haven't played it. It's a solo trick-taking game. I don't know what I'm waiting for. I gotta freaking play it. But, so just so you know, you're like, this should be on it. Trust me. Don't I know it? Let me know in the comments below some of your favorites. I'd be very curious. Thank you again to the sponsor of today's video, Monopoly Go. Definitely download that. Check it out if it's something that you're interested in. I'm freaking addicted to it. Right now, I just kind of like constantly playing it on my phone. Anyways, if you're interested in buying board games like any of the many that I mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that's the Boardroom Game Cafe. And if you like what you see, please consider subscribing. I hope to see you again soon. And now I'll say goodbye. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen, etc. Oh, I'm also on a quest. Cavern quest. In case anybody was curious. Ugh, I had to pay taxes. Blech. This is literally me on a plane. Let's be honest. Just over here playing little games. Monopoly Go. Ooh, chance. Let's see. Take a trip to the nearest railroad. You know what that means. Someone's getting knocked over. Oh, sorry, Fun Bison 20. Gotta knock you down a peg. I gotta get back to filming this video. This is me not getting much done. This is me having fun.